Hello. I would like for you to close your eyes, take in a deep breath, let it out, and actually take in this story. So, start off here. You know a woman. She's somebody that's very important to you, has been a part of your life for a very long time. She's pregnant. She's been pregnant for about 8 or 9 months, so that day is coming anytime now. But and it's bringing so much joy to you and those around you. It's like nothing that you guys have ever experienced before. But then suddenly, this woman that you care about so much, along with this precious child she's bringing into the world, is now being rushed into the OR for a cesarean section. Everyone is in the waiting room scared, waiting for the outcome, hoping that everything will turn out to be okay. Unfortunately, the doctor comes out to tell you that the baby is in critical condition and the mother did not make it through the C-section. This is devastating news. Although you're extremely excited about the wonderful life that has been brought into this world, you're left to think, why her? She did everything right. The prenatal vitamins, the visits to the doctors, healthy foods, etc. And you're left with the baby, but the question still lies, why her? Believe it or not, this could all be because she was an African American woman who was pregnant in the U.S. African American women are almost 3 times less likely to go home with their child after childbirth due to death by childbirth. This is extremely extreme. This is not something that's new. It's definitely went way back. And you may be thinking, like, this could have been the case maybe like a century ago, which makes sense. But now it's definitely questionable. These studies are from the CDC, and they've actually looked into this all the way back to 1999. And the first thing that came to mind when I saw it was the numbers definitely have gotten better, technology's gotten better, we've learned more, maybe we've dealt with the situation. Actually, the numbers have only gotten worse. If you're like most people, the first thing that may jump to mind is the economic status of people of color are definitely less than average. While that's indeed a detestable truth, this isn't the main cause of death by childbirth. The effect of race on maternal death is clear at every level of income. And to be clear, a middle class or wealthy black woman in the U.S., is 2.6 times more likely to die due to death by childbirth. It's been proven that economic status isn't the case of these deaths. There's been an abundant amount of research done in different populations of women with many unique backgrounds. And fame definitely offers no protection. Okay, so when Beyonce was pregnant with twins, which we all know, a famous singer-songwriter, she brings them out on stage with her. She lets them be a part of everything that she has accomplished. But did you guys know that Beyonce almost died due to giving birth to her twins? Beyonce became preeclamptic while going into childbirth, so this caused for her to have an emergency C-section. Little do you know, Beyonce became preeclamptic while having birth. This is 60% more common in women of color, and it is the main cause of death due to childbirth in women of color. You may be thinking, like, this is crazy, like, she's rich, she can afford any type of healthcare out there, and yet she still almost died along with her children, who are now healthy, which they just made it out of the situation in the best case scenario. Similarly, Serena Williams. She endured a close call after giving birth. Serena had a blood clot disorder that she was well aware of prior to becoming pregnant. And even while pregnant, she was still on her blood thinner medication, so she was extremely healthy, other than her other prior concern. So she ended up having a C-section due to her blood clot disorder. And due to the healing of the C-section scar, the doctors had told her to stop taking her blood thinner medication. Due to this, it actually caused for her to have 2 extra surgeries because she developed pulmonary embolisms within her lungs. This is because the doctors had told her to stop taking her blood thinner medication, which caused for the pulmonary embolisms, it caused the extreme cough, and it caused for her to open her C-section scars 2 times. So not only did she have a C-section, she had another major surgery to close the scar, and then another major surgery after that to close the scar that she had already reopened. She spent 6 days in the hospital after the 3 surgeries, fighting for her life. And then after that, she ended up making it out of the woods, and then 6 weeks of being bedridden at home. Although she survived, there's definitely been a lot of debate about whether or not taking her off of her blood clot medication was a good idea. It's actually been shown in recent studies that giving a woman blood thinners after a C-section actually results in more positive outcomes. And then the saddest case of all, Tori Bowie. You may not know her. She's up there. She's an Olympic sprinter. And based on her autopsy, she died at the age of 32 while laying in her bed due to childbirth. She was 8 months pregnant, laying in bed, and it had been shown that she went into labor. There had seemed to be a complication which appeared to be eclampsia, which are seizures that occur in pregnant women with preeclampsia. Again, the prevalence of this disease is more common in women of color, and in this case, sadly, the mother and the baby did not make it out of the situation alive and were not found until days later. You may be thinking, well, these are just a few cases. Or you may be thinking, this is crazy, and no nurse that I could fathom or think of would ever act so awfully towards somebody just because of the color of their skin. Although we all want to think that way, these statistics say differently. These numbers are based on a large scale, so on an individual level or even a personal experience, you may be thinking like, I've never dealt with something like that. But these numbers definitely say differently. In no way am I saying a black woman goes into a clinic and a nurse walks up to her thinking maliciously as if they're going to harm the mother or the child. To get these horrible statistics, we don't need racist medicine. All we need is systemic racism. One way of defining systemic racism is when history and norms make it so that even if some or most individual people try not to be biased of a particular race, they inevitably end up with worse outcomes. In this case, maternal death is that prime example. The color of one's skin should not result in vastly higher complications and death rates. Systemic racism has led to discrimination within healthcare. Our healthcare system is based on cultural norms. And most people are oblivious to this because it's what we've been used to. It's the system that we created. But this is a topic that should make you extremely uncomfortable. I hope it makes you extremely uncomfortable. Innocent mothers and babies are dying simply because of their race. I believe that we are not helpless or too far gone. I believe that we can create a better healthcare system in which the color of one's skin does not solely determine whether or not a woman lives or dies. We first need to acknowledge the facts that are right in front of us. My baby and I are 2.6 times more likely to die than my peers around me, than my white peers around me. The second step is to work towards a change. Compare the different experiences between the two races, or every race, seeing what was done differently. Maybe even implement a system where nurses have to answer questions to see whether or not the type of care given is based upon bias, or to check off the same list of action items, questions, and interventions for all people, so that any poor decisions that are made subconsciously or consciously can be eradicated. There are definitely other possible fixes, but I believe that these would be a true start. Race should not be a cause of death.